Welcome to the Michael Singer podcast, presented by Sounds True, in partnership with Shanti Publications. For more information about Michael Singer's work, access to all prior episodes, and information about upcoming releases, we invite you to join us at michaelsingerpodcast.com.
Jai Gurudev, Jai Masters. There's a big difference between knowing something intellectually with your mind and directly experiencing something. I can describe to you what the Empire State Building looks like, or what the ocean looks like, where there's no land, but if you've never seen it, it's an intellectual experience. You're attempting to grok it with your mind. It takes time. You ask questions. You study. How much time does it take when you stand in front of the building? 0. How much time does it take when you stand on a boat, look at the ocean? 0. That's called experiential versus intellectual. In the end, intellectual is meaningless. Experiential is everything. You know something because you experienced it. You don't know something because it got put into your mind. You may know about it, but you don't know it. This thing about inspiration and intuition, if you experience something, it's beyond inspiration, it's beyond intuition. It's knowing, you know it. There, you experienced it. How does one go from, especially spiritually, from intellectual to experiential? It all comes down to energy. And that's the ultimate of all teachings, but it doesn't have to be a teaching. I want it to be an experience. What does that mean? Well, Einstein taught that matter is energy, energy is matter. The scientists have found out that there really is no matter. There's just energy that behaves in a way that puts itself together to create what we call matter. You can study that. I don't want to talk about it. But it's available to you to understand why things feel solid when they're not solid. They're not solid. There's nothing solid. The floor is not solid. Your hand's not solid. Your head's not solid. They're not solid. Do you know that? They're not solid. We know that for a fact. The only reason they feel solid is because all the atoms on the outside of your hand, everything made of atoms, have electrons around them, negatively charged. And everything else is negatively charged. So therefore, negative charges repel each other. Therefore, when you step on the floor, it's repelling your foot and it's repelling the floor. Well, okay, fine. So how come I don't go through? Well, now you're down to how bound the molecules are, how tightly bound the molecules are. If your foot was heavy enough and the molecules weren't bound heavy enough, it's going to go through. Well, what about an elephant and all the weight of everything on the planet Earth? How come it doesn't go through? If it's all just negatively charged, pushing against negative charge all the way through the entire planet, which it is. Nothing's touching anything. Nothing's touching anything. Nothing's solid. How come it doesn't go through? Because the planet is spinning around the sun and centrifugal force, gravity, and they keep it together, just that forceful of the spin. And therefore, when you jump, everybody jumps, it doesn't go down. There's nothing going on. There is nothing that is solid. There is no solidity. There is no solidity. There never was and there never will be. There's just, okay, so far we've talked about atoms, but now we know that there aren't any atoms. There are not any atoms. There are no electrons, neutrons, or protons. There's just these quantum fields, which are fields, and when they become agitated, they create little wavelets, like if you drop a leaf into a still lake. And those wavelets have properties, and those properties put themselves together to create electrons, neutrons, protons, and atoms, and all that. So there's really nothing here, okay? That is the right understanding of what's going on. You don't think like that. It's too bad. If you did, you wouldn't have a single problem in the whole world because it's not even here. Your scientists have proved that. It's not here. There's just this quantum field that's omnipresent throughout the entire universe, makes all the stars, all the black hole, every single thing that is, emanates from those little wavelets. And we now know how to put them together and create what we're looking at, pretty much, right? And if you ask a quantum physicist, what is the quantum field made of? They will tell you they don't know. They don't know. They just know that it's there and that when it's agitated, there are these wavelets And those wavelets have properties such as spin and magnetism, magnetic forces, and so on. And they put themselves together to create the universe, right? So that's your starting position. It's all energy. It's all energy. It's just energy. The yogis way back said it was all made of light. Now we found out it's all made of light. Isn't that weird? Right? How did they know? Because they experienced it. They didn't intellectualize it. And by the way, when they get down to the quantum field and those wavelets, nobody ever saw those wavelets. They have with those giant colliders out there at CERN, like the Large Hadron Collider, LHC, they took protons, aimed them at each other for miles. It took from miles away, and they hit each other so hard that for like a nano millionth of a second, it split apart into quarks, leptons, and bosons, and they were able to have giant receptors that picked it up, and then it went back together immediately. But they saw that a proton is not a basic element. It's made out of these things called quarks. That's as far as they've actually seen. All the rest is math, which, believe me, it's way beyond me and probably you. But they sit there and say, if you want to understand where quantum physics is foundational, it takes math, because we can't get down there. We can't see those wavelets. We can't see a quantum field. They just are able to mathematically build all these models and do all that stuff that show why it does what it does. So basically, that is intellectual. All of that is what we just talked about. Your mind can understand. You haven't experienced it. You never saw an atom. I mean, you see a bunch of them. Here they are. Hi. Right? But you never saw one of them. You certainly never saw a quantum field or the wavelets in it or a quark, lepton, or boson. They're beyond anything that our instruments or anything can pick up. But you can intellectually do what we just did. There, we just had an intellectual exercise. I feel that if you are seekers in spirituality, at a minimum, you have to understand what I just said to you. You cannot live in this world where the scientists have gone so far down as to where did this come from? What is creation? And we're just going back to God. God created the heavens and earth. Well, then if I go down far enough, I'm going to find a guy, right? As simple as that. And they went all the way down very far. But they used intellectualization. They used the mind. Well, how did the yogis thousand years ago know it was all made of light? They said it was all made. They went beyond it was all made of light. They said there was an initial vibration. They said it was the Om. And that Om vibrated and created, in essence, vibrations. What are vibrations? Wavelets. And that's what the universe is made out of. And it's where light came. What does the Bible say? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. What is a word? A vibration. Well, how did the yogis know this? Through experience, not through intellectualization. They had no instruments. They had no way of knowing anything. That's what I just talked to you about. They meditated all the way deeply inside. They let go of what they were busy being distracted by, their senses, their thoughts, their emotions, and they went back into the seat of consciousness. And they saw it. They saw it happen. They were it. They did it by becoming it. They became pure consciousness. And the pure consciousness was the source of the quantum field of light. They saw it all being created. Ramakrishna, he was so far gone. So these guys get so high. He was the perfect master. He was so high that they would talk to him. Once he got invited to the prime minister's house, he was a very respected yogi. He'd go to the prime minister's house, but he was a crazy man. He didn't belong in this world, okay? And he would just get up in the middle of dinner and start dancing and drooling and singing, and his disciples would have a lot of trouble. They were trying to build an ashram here. Come on, Master, we're doing something, all right? And later at night, they'd ask him, don't you get embarrassed? He said, no, I don't see what you see. He said, you know how some people talk about they see ghosts or apparitions that kind of come in and then they float away? They can just see little forms coming in and out. He said, that's how I see your world. It's pure blinding light at all times. Every once in a while, if you tell me there's a building, I'll see a little image and it'll fade away into the light. Directly experienced. Why? Because it all comes from consciousness. The scientists don't know it yet, and they may never know it, but the quantum field down at the bottom, when they're finished with all their studies, it's just consciousness. What are your dreams made out of? Consciousness. They're just consciousness creating form inside your mind. Okay? Well, that's what this world is. It's just consciousness vibrating, emanating, creating creation. So basically, that's called the difference between intellectual and experiential. which is pretty neat that thousands of years ago, they knew what the quantum field, they said there's an omnipresent field and it's conscious. Let's give it a name, Brahma, God. That's what that field is, okay? That's the base foundation. We used to call it universal consciousness back in the 60s, right? Any name you give it is ridiculous because you just intellectualized it. The ancient rabbis, and the Kabbalah and stuff like that, very mystical, very close to yoga. They went very, very deep, and they taught very deep things. One of the things they taught was you don't even get to have a name for God, because that means you think you understand it. Even to give it a label, but it's so far beyond anything you can even imagine. If you even try to think about it, right? Just imagine that all the atoms are really underneath consciousness emanating up. All right, you can do that. There we are. Now expand it out throughout the galaxies, expand it out infinitely. Remember, I've told you, I try to get your mind to expand, to try. That 1.3 million Earths inside the sun. 1.3 million Earths inside the sun, and there's 300 billion stars in your galaxy, and there's 2 trillion galaxies, and they're all so far apart. That all is the same force. That entire thing going on forever, and always was, is what you mean by God, is what you mean by the energy that created. First of all, it's wrong to say God created the universe. God is creating the universe. Those wavelets that are going on in the quantum field, they didn't happen once and go away. The whole thing would fall apart. They are the foundation that every single nanosecond is vibrating and creating atoms and just building that whole structure. And that's going on everywhere throughout the universe. So let's not give it a name, because that's implying, oh, I understand God. So the Rebbes didn't use any name for God. In fact, they made up a name. The rabbi told me that, a traditional rabbi told me that the ancient ones, the great rabbis got together and they say, well, we don't want to use a name for God because that assumes you know what it is, you know what you're talking about. So we'll use the name Adonai. What is that? Nothing. It's just a collection of letters. We'll wink at each other, and when we say Adonai, we know what we're talking about. And I think it's neat that in the Bible, in the Torah, when Moses was talking to the burning bush, he asked the bush, God, okay, he asked, you want me to go down to the Pharaoh and say, let my people go, let go of all the slaves? They got a lot of gods and goddesses down there in Egypt, right? What name should I give? Who knows what name he said? What's neat is you can't say the name. It's in the Bible. It's in the Torah, the Old Testament, right? YHWH. No vowels. You can't pronounce it. But God said, my name is, that's where Yahweh came from. But Yahweh puts vowels in there. It's like, try to say YHWH. And it's neat. It's neat to understand the difference between intellectualizing, thinking about something, understanding. What's understanding? Mind. What is not understanding? Your mind couldn't put the pieces together. I don't understand what you said. I don't understand what you mean. I got this part and that part, but they don't go together. Oh, now I understand. That's a mental exercise, something your mind is doing. Experiential is way beyond that. It doesn't take a moment. When the masters merged with God, they didn't have to think about it. Your consciousness, you in there who's looking through his eyes, do you have thoughts? How do you know? Because you're conscious. Do you have emotions? How do you know? Because you're conscious. That consciousness, you, not later, not someday, right now, that consciousness is God consciousness. There is no difference between one drop in the ocean and another drop in the ocean. It's all ocean. No, take the water from there, it'll be ocean. No, it's all ocean. The fact that it's got wavelets or anything like that, it's still just ocean. Consciousness is consciousness, period. There's no difference in any consciousness. Consciousness is in essence a thing, a foundation. It's the foundational element of the entire universe, God. And that consciousness is the same everywhere, all throughout the universe. Emanating form and also being aware. It's awareness everywhere, and you're part of everywhere. If you come here and say to me, oh my God, since he left me, my heart hurts so bad. Oh my God, I'm going to pranam to you. Oh, really? You know that? You know you have a heart? You know you? Who's in there knowing that? How do you know your heart hurts? How do you know your heart hurts? You know, I go to a psychiatrist and have him ask you that. He wanted to fix it. No, I want to know, a spiritualist doesn't want to fix it. I want to know how you know it hurts. And ultimately, you'll get mad at me, throw things at me, because I'm in here, stupid. Who's in there? Were you in there yesterday? Were you in there before he left you? Yeah, but the heart didn't hurt. How do you know? What was it like in there before he left you? Well, it was really nice. How do you know? Is it the same you that noticed it was nice and now notice, that's God. Man was created in the image of God. That doesn't mean God's got a hand sticking down in the Sistine Chapel trying to touch your finger. That's God is created in the image of man. Man is created in the image of God. You are that consciousness. And that consciousness is the exact consciousness that Christ touched when he said, my Father and I are one. How hard do you have to work to know that you know what you know? To know that you're experiencing. Here, look at me. How hard was that? How do you know you're looking at me? It's experiential. See the difference? Here, takes a bit of a second. Why? Because you're actually experiencing it. You have to think about it. How do I see you? What should I need to do? How much will do I need to use? What if I was bad? Can I still see you? What if I sinned? How do I see you? That's ridiculous. Seeing is seeing. You just see. Buddhist, that's Zen, right? Just seeing. You've heard that. That's what just seeing is. It's just the self-consciousness seeing. It's experiential. That's the topic of this whole talk. There's really an intellectual and experiential. So it's not like you don't know how to experience. You do experience, right? And by the way, you know how to be here now. What do you mean? When you're having a thought, are you aware of that thought? Oh, so you're there with the thought right then. Do you have an emotion? Are you with the emotion? Do you have to work at it? You're there with the emotion. If you look outside, you're there outside. You are, consciousness is wherever consciousness is. The trouble is that what be here now means is don't have it be in your mind and don't have it be in your emotions, have it be out here. Because your consciousness can be in a lot of places, can't it? Can you get lost in your mind? Can you get lost in your emotions? I was lost in my mind. Who was? How come nobody asks you that when you say that? Oh, I'm sorry, I was lost in my thoughts. Who was lost? You better get the police and find you, okay? You know who you are. You use the words all the time. My mind is giving me trouble today. I can't meditate because my mind won't shut up. I, me, mine. These are possessive things, right? So if my mind won't shut up, then there's a me and a mind that I own, my mind. My car is running. Are you your car? No, it's my car. It was amazing. Every word you use is spiritual. You just aren't paying attention. Do you say my mind is bothering me? Whose? Did you ever think that? Whose mind is it? My is a possessive pronoun. I mean, he's scolding you. I'm giving you an English class. I gave you a physics class, I'm giving you an English class. All right? My is a possessive pronoun. If you use it, there has to be a possessor and a possessed. You know who the possessed is? Mine. Car, husband, wife, my husband, my wife. Okay? But my thoughts, I like that one. My emotions, whose are they? And you just say mine. You don't realize that means you're in there. We were there yesterday. Did you have thoughts when you were little? Watch. My thoughts when I was young weren't the same as they are now. See, say mine. This is a spiritual discussion. It is the only spiritual discussion. Everything else is philosophy and stuff for mind. Stuff for mind. Read this, study that, believe this. What is a belief? Mind. Do you believe in so-and-so? You believe in so-and-so? I did, but then something bad happened to me. I don't believe it anymore. Oh, okay. Mind. Okay. The great ones directly experience the nature of consciousness. How? How do you directly experience the nature of consciousness? By not getting distracted by objects of consciousness. Let's do that very slowly. You get distracted by your mind, don't you? Who does? You get distracted by your emotions, don't you? Who does? You get distracted by your senses, who does? You get distracted by your body, who does? Because, this is exactly what I want to talk about, because consciousness is distracted when? All the time. One thing or another, right or wrong. There's always something distracting your consciousness. In fact, you are so distracted that you don't know what it's like to not be distracted. If I'm sitting here reading a book and I get distracted, but I never come back to the book, I don't think I'm distracted. You have to be distracted from something, but if I never go back to something I'm distracted from, it doesn't matter. I'm only paying attention to what I'm distracted by. And eventually, there's no concept that there was something I got distracted from because this is where I live now. That's what has happened to your consciousness. You've been distracted by thoughts, emotions, body, and the outside world so constantly and so thoroughly that there is no concept that you get distracted from you. You're just there distracted all the time, all the time. Okay? What about when I go to sleep? You get distracted by your dreams, don't you? Oh my God, I had this unbelievable dream last night. Who did? Were you there in the dream? Was it the same you that was experiencing the dream as you that experiences life and when you're awake? It's not the same state of being. The form is not the same. One's mental, one's physical, but it's you experiencing it. I don't know why I have so much trouble because it blows me away to even talk about it. I love your language. You can get enlightened by studying your own language. Forget reading anything else. Pay attention to what you say. I woke up. Oh my God. Watch. I had this unbelievable dream last night. I was flying and I flew to Europe and I went into this restaurant in France and I ate this and I ordered that. And then someone came by and they yelled at me and I woke up and here I am. I used the same letter I during that exact entire description, didn't I? What is that telling you? It's the same you. The experiencer was the same, wasn't it? The experience was different, but it was the same being, the same essence, experiencing it. That is what's meant by the self. That which is always there. That which experienced everything. You experience you're young, you experience every single thing your entire life. That is the experiencer. The trouble is, we are so lost in the experience. Like if you said that about the dream, you want to know, how did I fly in? What does it mean? What's the symbolism? It's like, I want to know who had the experience. You who experienced it is obviously greater than the experience. You were there in the dream, you came back, you're there, you go back tomorrow night. Like, you're always there. You're the persistent consciousness that is always there. Well, what about science, medicine? I've looked this up. Very good. I like science. They have a state called unconscious. He was unconscious. Well, how come when they're unconscious, they see Tweety birds? What did you see in your near-death experience when you were flatlined and you were unconscious? Well, I went into this tunnel and into a white light and I saw my relatives and I did, right? Okay. Now, I'm so open that if you think that mind was creating that, or that it really was happening on some higher plane, I couldn't care less. What I want to know in both cases is you're there experiencing it. It is true, they do have real near-death experiences, but either way, somebody was experiencing it. It was not true that they weren't there. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which is one of the deepest yoga writings, he talks about exactly this, way back. When was it Patanjali? 500 BC, whatever it was, right? He talks about this. He says there's different stages of sleep. In the dream state, the self is experiencing your dreams. In the dreamless state, the self is still there experiencing nothing. Have you ever woken up and said to somebody, oh my God, I slept so deep, I didn't have any dreams? How do you know you didn't have any dreams? Because I was there. I was there not having any dreams. Who was? Me, the consciousness. That's what Patanjali says. It's that you're not conscious, you're conscious of nothing. And therefore it's very peaceful because you're not being distracted by all these objects, thoughts, emotions, dreams. They're distractions, aren't they? They pull your consciousness down into them. By the way, that is what's meant by the fall from the garden. You were in pure consciousness. You were in God. Doesn't mean you can't pay attention to creation, but you still are there. I'm sitting in this chair looking at that picture, as opposed to I'm lost in the picture. Go to a movie. I do that in the Untethered Soul. Go to a movie, a really good movie. Go to a really enticing, exciting movie, and you're not going to know you sat in that theater for 2 hours. You don't know who's sitting next to you. You don't know anything, no thoughts. Can you get lost in the movie or in a book? You say that, I got lost. Oh, I got your words. You're so beautiful. I got lost in the book. I got lost in the movie. Who did? Where'd you go? What happened is your consciousness, which at least to some degree is centered inside, usually at your own thoughts and emotions and problems, now got distracted by something outside, so much so that the eye that was busy being in here got lost focusing outside, got distracted. That's the right word, isn't it? Got distracted so much that they didn't even feel their center into their ego, right? That's not a very good center, but normally that's where you're centered, isn't it? Do I like this? I don't know, what should I say? But you're centered on your thoughts. You're the self, distracted by your ego and your thoughts and your personal stuff and the world. Now you're distracted from that. You know, we have a name when you get distracted from that? Entertainment. You got entertained sufficiently. But if you sat in the theater and the whole time you know in a stupid theater, you say, that's a terrible movie. It didn't pull you out of yourself. Do you see how spiritual every one of these experiences is if you pay attention? It's unbelievable. So when you go to that movie and you get lost out there, right, that's how you left God. That's the fall from the garden. You fell from the state of universal, infinite, divine consciousness into this tiny little thing of your thoughts, your emotions, your body, your senses, and the tiny bit of the world that's in front of you, don't you? That's what you're distracted by. That's the fall from the garden. Make sense? You're in a state of fallen right now. And what does it say when you fell from the garden? Look it up. It says, now you must work by the sweat of your brow to be okay. You are okay. You're merged in Satchitananda, eternal conscious ecstasy. That's the nature of consciousness. Consciousness has a nature. In the yogic scriptures, it's called Satchitananda, eternal conscious ecstasy. And that is also a name for the soul, for self, Satchitananda. That's your state. You feel that very often, eternal conscious ecstasy? Do I not? You're distracted from it by your thoughts. Okay? Do you feel eternal conscious ecstasy all the time? No. Do you notice your thoughts all the time? You notice your emotions pretty much. Yeah? You notice what's coming in through your senses. You notice what your body feels like. You are distracted. Who's distracted? Your consciousness. What is consciousness? God. There's an essence called consciousness. It's a universal essence that has always been there. Somebody once asked Mayor Baba, fully, this is what it means to be enlightened. You get it? Enlightened means you return to the seat of self. You're not distracted out of that. So you experience the nature of self. If I take a drop of water and drop it into the ocean, can I find it again? Can I find that drop of water again ever? Because it merged. That's what the word yoga means. Union, merger. That's where the great masters went. The drop of their consciousness that was busy separating itself by staring at this, thoughts and emotions, wasn't distracted anymore. And it fell back into the source of consciousness. Am I understanding me? All right? And what is the source of consciousness? The same source that the drop of the ocean came from, the ocean. And it fell back and it merged. And my Christ and my Father are one. And Buddha went to nirvana. And when they asked Meher Baba, fully enlightened, who are you? And his answer was just so beautiful. I was in the beginning before all else was created. I will be in the end after all else falls away. There was never a time I was not. There will never be a time I am not. Now, why am I telling you that? That's who you are right now. You are that distracted by thoughts, emotions, body, form, by the personal self. That's how close you are to who you are. So that's the difference of trying to understand God intellectually and being a God-realized being. You've heard that term before. A God-realized being. A realized being is a self-realized being. They realize the nature of who's in there. And it doesn't ever go away. And they're seated in that state permanently all the time. But they can still pay attention here if they want to. And they don't have to if they don't want to. It's just like you can look at the picture, but you're looking at the picture. He looks like my father died. I can't not look at that picture. It's unbelievable. Or I'm looking at you. You're so beautiful. I can't take my eyes off of you. Somebody else says, what? I can look at her and turn away. Are you distracted so much that your consciousness stays there? Or is it something you're seeing? So a great master is able to interact in the world. They don't have any trouble. They run business, get married, children, they can do anything. There ain't a difference. They're still seated in the seat of self while they're doing it. You understand that? I can look at you and turn away. I still know who I am. I didn't become you. That's the worst part. I gave a talk once about this. The two very, very spiritual words, distraction and identification. It's bad enough that you got distracted by these things, but you're so distracted that you identify with the object you're looking at. This is my body. Well, yes, but who's the mind? No, this is me. Yes, they're your thoughts. They're not you, but you think they are, don't you? This is what I like, what I don't like, who I am. This is who I am. I'm the person that did this when I was young. You're defining yourself as the experiences you had. No. When you identify with what you're distracted by, you fall in the category of the lost souls. You think that's who you are. You have a car, don't you? Do you think you're the car? But you still say, it's my car. You just didn't get that close. But you think you're your thoughts, aren't you? You think you're what you like and don't like, and your opinions and your views and your beliefs. And you think that's something to do with you. They're just things you're looking at. They have nothing to do with you, nothing. It doesn't matter what you believe. It's just a thought. It can change in a minute. It doesn't matter what you think, right, wrong, good, bad. They're just thoughts. They come and go. You don't come and go. You're always there. So when you get distracted by it, your consciousness loses its sense of self. It gets distracted. If it stays there long enough, it thinks that's who it is. That's it. And then you have real trouble. You defend your ego as much as an animal defends their body. I always use the example of Hamilton and Burr. Okay, remember the duel, that famous duel they had? Well, they risked their lives. Take 10 steps, turn around, shoot muskets in each other's faces. What kind of intelligent thing is that? What happened that had them doing that? They risked their life for what, ego? You insulted me. Take a glove. I challenge you to a duel. Well, why? Why? I don't care. But they did care, didn't they? And that's what happens. You identify with your ego, that thing you built inside your mind, sufficiently to you give up your life. You think it's more important than life. This is my honor. You challenge my honor. I'm willing to give up my life to defend my honor. You've just shifted survival to your ego more than your body. Am I telling the truth? Do they do that? It's unbelievable. They do all kinds of things. So the problem is distraction and then identification. And then now you identify with what you're not. That's false realization, okay? Let's get back to experiential. While you're growing, you can start paying attention to the difference between processing through your mind versus experiencing. For example, I'm going to jump way ahead. Somebody asked me the other day, because they think I'm spiritual. I'm not, right? What chakra is Om associated with? Okay, I'm a yogi. I said, I don't know. I don't. I have no idea, right? Ask them what color the chakras are, what direction they spin in, or what is their god or goddess. I know nothing about that, right? Do I feel the energy coming out of every single chakra at any time? Yeah, okay, that's what chakra is. It's an experience of energy in different centers. That's the difference between intellectualizing and experiencing. I've never taught you intellectually any of this stuff. I want you to experience it. I don't want you to understand what enlightenment is. I want you to know you are enlightened right now, but you're looking in all the wrong direction. You're looking down instead of looking up. If you want to find the sun, okay, you're just some dumbbell walking around the earth. All right? It's lit up. Where does light come from? Right? Don't be looking down. Here, it's lit up, isn't it? The plants, it must be down there on the plant. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You're looking down all the time. You're looking down at your thoughts, down at your emotions, down at your body, down at the world. You don't feel it because you're so used to it. A great being, not even a great being, somebody who's somewhat awakened, understands they're looking down. For me to see my thoughts, they're down there. Ramana said it beautifully once. He said, you'll get to the point where you're standing on a bridge with rapid waters flowing underneath. Every once in a while, a spray comes up and touches you, and you remember, I used to be in there. Now it's something I see. I see him. Ramakrishna, when he talked about his body, he called it this. He never said my body. He said, this isn't doing well. So basically, he didn't teach himself to do that. You're back here. You're back here looking at that. So if you're trying to find God by looking into your mind, I'm sorry, have fun. I thought trying to find where the light is coming from by looking at what it's shining on. Yes, you have a mind. Yes, you have emotions. You're looking at all the wrong places. So when you look for the sun, that's a good example. Never used that before. When you look for the light, it looks like it's down there, doesn't it? It's illuminating all this stuff. So you keep looking. It's not. Look up. It'll blind you, won't it? It's the same thing inside. You are looking down. Just when you get to the point, and we'll talk about how you get there, that's a whole other thing in the path, to where you're not looking down. There's only one way you're not looking down. It doesn't distract you enough. First, you stop identifying with it as you, and then you realize it's just an object outside. Form is an object. My husband is an object. He's not me. She's not me. My child, yes, it's a wonderful baby. It's wonderful. I'll take care of it. I love it to pieces. It's not me, but you think it is, don't you? You identify with it enough. There are mothers that identify enough with that baby that if it gets sick, she gets sick exactly the same way. Go ask doctors. Whatever goes on, they identify with it so much. They project themselves onto that object so much that it becomes part of them. Well, it's not part of you. I'm sorry to tell you. It is an object made of atoms. It's out there. But your body's not you either. It's something you look at, and that's a baby. It's something you look at. Doesn't mean you don't love it. Doesn't mean you don't take care of it. Doesn't mean you don't do everything that anybody else would. But you're a wise, awakened person realizing, okay, that is. And so you get to the point where you understand, I'm back in here and I'm looking at what's going on. And there are thoughts that go on, and some are pleasant, some are not. Okay, fine. But I'm still back in here. There's still just things I'm looking at. They're just thoughts. They could change in a minute. They're not who I am. I'm not identified with my thoughts. It's because you're identified with something which you're not, which is thoughts and objects. You're God descended, and you will go through many experiences, and some of them are pleasant, some of them are not. But you need to be able to handle them. You came down here for a reason. By the way, why'd you come down here? You came down here for self-realization. No other reason. You came down here to find out not who you are, who you're not. Okay? It's all about neti. I'm not my mind. I'm not my heart. I'm not my body. I see them. I am aware of them, but I am the one that's aware of them. That's the entire purpose of your life. Earth is a place of social sin to evolve. So again, we're getting back to experiential versus intellectual. Who's experiencing the thoughts? You's experiencing those thoughts are the same you'd experience every other thought. There's no difference. You must learn to remain established in the seat of self. And that becomes the ultimate experience. Then everything else is just something you're experiencing. But your experience is one of centeredness, of joy, of peace, of love from inside. But we can't do that because we get distracted by all this stuff. So the question becomes, now that you understand the meaning of your life is self-realization, period. The meaning of creation is self-realization. It's like, why did God create the heavens and earth? It was a dance, a game, Lila, God's Lila, all right? He manifested all these different forms, got inside of him so he could find himself. I want to find myself. It's like you make video games. Why would you make such video games? All the different levels. They're hard as heck to go through. I don't play video games, but I know they must be very difficult, right? Why would you do that? It's exciting. It's entertaining. It's something to do with your consciousness. Well, so God created the heavens and earth, then came down into them in every single form. Consciousness is the same. Even Darwin's evolution. What is Darwin's evolution? God coming down into the lowest form and reaching out so that consciousness can experience higher and higher things, and therefore pushing the evolutionary ladder from amoebas to fish to amphibians to every time more and more expression of yourself, more and more experience, and it's just pushing the ladder out until ultimately push it out, boom, here you guys are. As a human being, man, it can walk and talk and think. And they say that only once you've reached the human stage can you know God. Only a human being can be God realized. The lower animals have to go up the evolutionary ladder enough to where the body and everything has evolved enough, the mind has evolved enough, the emotion have evolved enough to where it's capable of letting go and realizing everything we just talked about. So the entire purpose of all of creation is self-realization. And that's the purpose that you took birth, is to not to have, you can be a mother, that's fine, you have a business, you have money, you do whatever you want to do. That's nothing to do with that. That's the game. That's the dance, right? Who are you in there? If you're lost in that dance, you're suffering. If you're lost in form, you're going to suffer. Why? First, because you identify with it and it keeps changing, doesn't it? Have you noticed? Fall in love and have it be so beautiful, you're going to be afraid of losing it. The more you need it, the more you're jealous. All your emotions are because you got lost. Right now, your emotions drag you down. Love doesn't. When you feel real love, it comes out, doesn't it? It doesn't go down, does it? All right? But you stop it because you really like it a lot. It's very rare, too. You're not used to it, are you? Okay? You're not used to feeling that energy come up. And when it comes up, for a while it comes up, and then you start worrying about losing it. You start watching what people are doing. You start what's going on. You start protecting yourself and start making sure you look good because you don't want somebody to not like you, right? You don't want to get old because then they might not love you the way they, hear me? Yes or no? Are you afraid of losing love? That's why. Because you get pulled down even out of love. When you are high enough, that does not happen. Your experience is this upward flow of Shakti, this upward flow of energy, going up, not down. What do you need to do to make it go up? Nothing. What do you need to do to make it go down? Nothing. So once you've done your work, you don't get distracted by having your consciousness pulled down. That's the whole key. You can have a body, you can have a wife, you can have a husband, you can have money, you can have a car, but if they don't pull you down into them, if they're just things that are there, okay, have fun. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But you're not attached to them. You heard those terms spiritually, detachment or renunciation. I don't teach renunciation, I don't teach attachment. Why? If you are pulled down, you have to struggle to not be attached. If you're pulled down, you have to renounce what's making you be pulled down. You're still pulled down by it. You're just suppressing. You're so beautiful, I can't take my eyes off of you, but I'll never look at you again. Well, then you have a problem. Why can't she be like everybody else? Why are you so disturbed that you have to renounce it and never look at it and have nothing to do with it? You must have a problem with it. Okay? So that which you renounce is exactly what you need to work through. So there's no need to renounce it. You're not free when you renounce it by definition. If you renounce enough things, you go live in a cave somewhere and don't talk to anybody. It is higher to find out why you are distracted by this thing so much that you can't handle its existence. Because even if I love you so much, I'm so attracted to you, I renounce you, I'm going to think about you. There's no way I'm not going to think about you. Now I have to suppress the thoughts. None of this sounds very spiritual to me. Why don't I find out what's wrong with me that I can't handle objects in the universe which God made, right? Everything's the same. It's an object of the universe. The great ones, they don't renounce. They evolve past that. They're able to experience every single thing that ever existed, can come in and pass right through. And you're capable of that. So how does one achieve a state like that? You start by understanding what it's about. It's about not being so distracted by things that you can't handle them. And that's the right word. What does it mean to handle it? I'm able to let it exist while I exist. I can't handle what you said to me. I'm going to stay on top of you until you apologize. I'll think about it for the rest of my life. See, I didn't handle it. I wasn't able to let it be while I be. Christ called it the peace that passeth all understanding. The peace that you feel when you get what you want, that's very understandable, right? The peace that you feel regardless of whatever's going on is the peace that passeth all understanding. So basically, you're distracted. While you're distracted, you're going to start to identify and be distracted more, and then you're going to stay down there. So the question becomes, how do you learn, because it's a learning process, how do you evolve or learn enough to be able to handle situations that are happening? When they come into you, you don't have to be distracted by them. You can experience them, but you're not distracted by them. There's a difference. Experience means consciousness stayed in the seat of consciousness, but it experienced what was passing by. Distracted means it left the seat of consciousness, not really, but it put its focus down, right? The sun doesn't leave the sky, but it focused down on the object. It got distracted by it, so it's no longer aware of its seat. You're all yogis, yoginis. Can you understand my terminology? Your seat of consciousness, the self, that which you see from, that which you go into in deep meditation, all right? You're in there. When you're distracted, you don't know you're in there. You pull that. We call it nowadays. We call that witness, the seat of the witness, right? Witness consciousness. What does that mean? You're always conscious. What is witness consciousness? It means at the same time I'm witnessing my thoughts, witnessing the world going by, I'm sitting in the seat that is aware that it's witnessing. You're sitting in the seat of consciousness, aware. It's not that you renounce or don't experience. You're experiencing it, but it's not pulling you into it. That's the right word. Don't your emotions pull you into them? Have you ever got lost in an emotion? You had so much trouble with an emotion you couldn't handle life anymore. It's like you got lost, you got pulled into the emotion. There's nothing else but going on but the pain or the insecurity or the jealousy. It's just energy. What is an emotion? Energy. What is a thought? Energy. They're just energies at different levels. Of course you can handle them. The self is the highest energy that can possibly exist. It's the creator of all things. So how do you get there? By learning to not get distracted. What do you mean? How do I learn to not get distracted? By jealousy. You don't. Right now, I assure you, if you're a jealous person and you have trouble with jealousy, don't you dare take this and say, Mickey said, I can learn and not feel jealous right now. No, he did not say such a thing. Learning, when you learn the piano, you don't start with Mozart or Tchaikovsky. You start with the scales, don't you? Then twinkle, twinkle. You learn the piano. You learn tennis. You learn a sport. You don't just all of a sudden know how to do it. You learn how to do this. I think the biggest thing I've learned to teach you, all right, over all the years, you learn how to do this. How? You start with very simple little things. No matter how much time I teach it, I'm going to teach it again. What do you mean? It's hot out. Oh my God, it's so hot. Come on, man, you can handle the fact that you're going from your car to the house and it's hot out. Do you really need to make such a thing out of this stupid thing? The driver in front of you is driving 15 miles an hour below the speed limit. I had that today. 15 miles below the speed limit, and you're going somewhere. I have to follow my teacher. I have to be very careful. If I taught it, I better live it, right? And I'm just driving. It was a 55 mile an hour zone. And he's going 40 miles an hour. All right? Can you handle it? Of course you can handle it. You just don't want to. And because you don't want to, you got distracted by it. And that took you out. Maybe you were having a nice day before that happened. You listen to some music. Now you're paying attention to some not music in your mind. Come on, buddy. Don't you look at the street sign? It's 55. Oh my God. Get in the right lane, right? You're watching that instead of listening to music or instead of feeling love. You got distracted. Are you willing to practice at that time? I don't need to do this. I can let that go. I can handle the temperature. I can handle the driver in front of me. I can handle these stupid little things that I just don't bother handling. So you start practicing how to not get distracted by things that were meaningless, that were distracting you. In the new book, Living Untethered, I call them low-hanging fruit. Every one of you has low-hanging fruit every day that you don't bother dealing with. Somebody didn't say hello. Somebody's wearing a shirt that you wish you had gotten. I can't believe they got it. What is the cost of not liking how the person in front of you is driving? 100%. Bothering you all the time, it's bothering you. What's the benefit? Zero. It did not change how he drove. Did not do a single thing. What's the cost of complaining about the weather? I don't like that it's not even that it's raining. I don't like that it's gonna rain. Now there's some low-hanging fruit. I don't like that it might rain 3 days from now when I want to go camping. Okay, there. Cost, 100%. Bothers me. I'm worried about it. I think about it. Can't enjoy the moment I'm in. What's the benefit? Zero, because I ain't going to change a thing. So you decide, I'm not going to do that. How? It's easy. It's easy. I'm just going to relax, let go of the part of me that is complaining. You just learned how to not get distracted. If you do that, you're going to start noticing the weather doesn't bother you as much. You start noticing that when the driver's driving slow, it's fun. I'll do my mantra. I can't get there anyways. Might as well have fun. Get stopped by a train. No, count the cars. It's fun. I wonder how many they're going to be. Look at the color. Do something interesting. Work with yourself. Raise yourself. See the difference? All the time you have the right to do that. As you do that, you will be letting go of why you're distracted. You're the one who decided to be distracted by something. Kids love the trains. Wow, we got stopped by a train. 104 cars. All right? You can have fun and start having fun playing with raising your energies. And the next thing you'll know, you're not distracted by something else. Or if you are, you can come back in 2 seconds. Somebody says something to you. "Hey, you don't look so good. Have you been okay?" Whoa, you take it personal. You used to say, "You don't look so good yourself." Now you didn't say that, but you walked away and said it inside, all right? So now you got that going on. Then you get to the point where you say, "What do I care what somebody said? I told you there's so many things you can do with your mind, your higher mind, not the self, the conscious, but there's a higher mind that can say things like, all right, Mickey, 8.3 billion people on the planet Earth. One of them just made a noise out of their mouth. I think you can handle it. And if he can't, I tell him that 1.3 million Earths fit inside the sun, right? Now, and one of 8.3 billion animals running on the planet Earth made a noise out of their mouth. I think you can handle it. If you have trouble with that, I tell him that star, there's 300 billion of them in one galaxy. That one he lets go. Finally, all right, I guess it didn't matter. Did it matter what somebody said? Did it matter in the realm of things? No, it just bothered your ego. Well, maybe it shouldn't have one. Maybe it's a good time to let go of one. And little by little, you raise yourself. You raise yourself. And less bothers you, which means distraction. If it bothers you, it has to be distracted by it. And then you stop identifying with it. And eventually you stop identifying with your ego. You still have one. And you know so schnook he is, so sensitive, every little thing. You have a conversation with somebody, even a friend. You walk away. The conversation's not over. It's going on in your mind. I should have said this. Oh, I hope I didn't say that. I wonder how you took that. What good is that? You're causing yourself trouble and suffering. And so you learn that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't suppress it. You say, fine. I don't know how the person took it, and I don't care. I'm fine. I'll be fine. However they took it, I can handle it. If they come back later and yell at me, I'm fine. I like getting yelled at. If they come back later and they don't even say anything, I'm glad I didn't say anything. You learn to work with yourself, to raise yourself to where you're not doing this. And then eventually what happens is you stop getting distracted by these meaningless things. And you can feel this energy coming up instead of going down. It will go up towards your consciousness. Then you know you did something right. Your energy is changing direction. And then somebody will say something or not say something, and you feel it start to go down. At one point, I want to see when you get there, you'll say, I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to exchange ecstasy, joy, bliss for what some person didn't say or what my mind has to say. And you start doing that trade-off constantly. You start sitting there saying, I think I'd stay high. I choose high. That's what I choose, God. And all of a sudden, everything starts going up. And then you start learning about what transmutation is. Again, I don't want to teach you these things. I want you to experience them. Everything I've taught you about so far, you can experience. What's transmutation? Somebody says something, doesn't say something, you think something, and some uncomfortable vibration starts coming up. You know what that feels like? This weird energy starts coming up. You get to the point where you say, I don't care enough to give up my state of consciousness for some stupid thought I had about 10 years ago. It wasn't even bothering me 10 years ago. It does happen though, doesn't it? All right? And you take 2 breaths, lift your eyes up, and all of a sudden, the very energy that was anger or insecurity or jealousy or embarrassment changes and turns into love. You literally raise the level of the energy up, and it transmutes, and you feel it. You get this shot of energy come flying up. You get to do it anytime you want. How would you like to be able to live like that? There's only one thing stopping you. You're allowing yourself to get pulled down. All right? Main purpose of the talk was experiential. Notice you're experiencing the energy now. We're not talking about it. If you want to feel love, wave your hand past any chakra. It bursts open. Feel that coming out of your heart, coming wherever you wave your hand. Yoga is an experiential thing. It's not an intellectual thing. And you're capable. Every one of you are capable. It doesn't mean to be being of great light. You feel it pouring off your hands. You feel it coming out of your heart. You're a being of great light. You're just too busy looking down because you're being distracted. Work on not being distracted by little things. And next thing you know, you won't be by the bigger things. Next thing you know, you won't be by anything. Doesn't mean you don't feel, but you're able to bring it up. And eventually, it will go up and up to where it's just pouring inside your being. And it starts to take you out of yourself. And that's the highest state. And that's a tough one. Now it's asking you to die to be reborn, as Christ did. Literally let go of being separate. That drop that's been out of the ocean for all this time isn't ready to drop back in and lose its identity. So over time, you get help. It takes you up. All right, we had a nice talk. Do you see how great you are? You're a great being. Jagrative.
You've been listening to the Michael Singer Podcast, produced by Sounds True in partnership with Shanti Publications. For more information on Michael's body of work and all back episodes, please join us at michaelsingerpodcast.com. Thanks so much for listening. Sounds True, waking up the world.